Manga is about to go to the moon. Shout out to Jeremy Padawer, who had a post that kind of went viral in the collecting space, a collab with Beckett, that said he just paid $275,000 for these first print manga volumes. You guys can see a Dragon Ball, a One Piece, and a Naruto. And Jeremy kind of went on to talk about manga. He made some videos on his Instagram page where he kind of laid out his entire thesis as to why he has decided to move into manga. He talks about how, Superman, he remembers it selling for, $100,000 back in the day, and now it's a $9 million comic book. And also, One Piece is actually a lot bigger than Superman is. And he kind of, has always been on the forefront of the collectible world and talking about, Pokemon cards before they were really hot. And now his play is in the manga space. I think that this is interesting because manga has been sort of what I would say like a poorly kept secret within like the comic collecting circles that I've been in. Like everybody has been saying, oh, like manga, just watch, like manga's going to be the next thing. Manga's going to be the next thing. But it hasn't quite taken off yet. Although with this new post, maybe that's going to be the thing that catapults it into, the limelight. And considering that, the first appearance, quote unquote, of One Piece comes from this manga, and you have people on Reddit talking about, is the One Piece hype actually over? The prices were nowhere near sustainable. One Piece going to zero, prices going down heavy for PSA 10 slabs of One Piece. This person says manga and SPs are the only thing that you should be buying. I sort of wonder, like, is this the perfect storm? Like mangas to the moon, One Piece cards going to zero? Maybe all my One Piece money should actually be going to picking up a first edition. What do you guys think about all this?
I'll say one, Jeremy has an absolutely insane collection overall. That guy has ridiculous cards in his collection, and he actually, I don't want to completely misquote this, I believe he lost a large chunk of his cards in the fires in California a couple of years ago when that happened, and he even had them stored in a bank and they got destroyed. But that guy has insane stuff.
Yeah, Jeremy definitely does have insane stuff. I just want to say we are fans of Jeremy over here on the Ungraded Truth. We'd love to have him on the show. So invite open to Jeremy.
Please come on. Yeah.
I can speak more to the card side of it than I can the manga side of it. The big thing that's going on with the cards is basically what's happening to Absolute Batman 1. More graded supply is coming to market as everyone ran to grade all their stuff than the market can support. So it's pulling prices down. It might be temporary. They might bounce back, but right now it's as simple as supply is outweighing demand more than anything else.
That's my thing, that I don't know enough about what is truly available out there with manga, because with Superman 1, like the comparison to Superman 1 and everything, like those books are mostly gone. Like they were destroyed in paper drives and parents throwing them out and just not being collectibles really back in that time period and everything. And manga just isn't that old. It's very possible that there are large numbers of them out there. Now in high grade, maybe not. Like, it's like, that could be a different story. And so, yeah, it is. I agree. It's one of those areas where you've got to see what happens when prices jump, because if you see prices jump, it pulls things out if they're there. If those numbers, like if the number of copies or census or whatever there is out there for manga, if that stays relatively flat after big sales, then you start to have some justification for that pricing. But you've got to give it a little time to really know what's out there. And maybe he's done that research. I don't know. But yeah, that would be my biggest concern.
Correct me if I'm wrong, CBCS is the only one that grades them, right? CGC does not grade mangas?
Yes. Beckett
CGC
is the only
theory
one that grades it.
I believe I don't think they are yet, but there's no reason why I don't think that they could probably use their pulp cases to grade manga. Like I'm surprised they haven't. I don't think they have, but I'm surprised they haven't tried to push into that area yet, because I would expect manga would be much more profitable long-term than pulps.
100%. It's interesting with this sale because he said in his description that this is one of the most significant private manga transactions to date. And we've been having a lot of conversations about the hype and the marketing that kind of goes into it. And I wonder if, like, in a weird way, is it actually more helpful to be like kind of this first to market person who's like jumping in and setting the market? Like, is it actually almost a little bit of a benefit in this weird way, based on like how a lot of the record sales kind of puts people in the driver's seat with a lot of collectibles? I don't know if you guys have thoughts on that one.
I don't
He
even think
has
it's
a
that
benefit
weird. I
too,
think it's
'cause he's
obvious.
known. Like,
Yeah.
people know Jeremy, so the fact that it's
Yeah.
him doing it in high end collectible circles is going to raise eyebrows alone.
100%.
Sorry, Renew.
He's sorry. We're saying the same thing. I think it's very obvious. I think Jeremy, I don't think this is a bad thing. I think Jeremy's very aware of that. He's very public in the world of collecting. He's built a business on collecting, and he invests in collectibles, and he's very open about, how he likes to buy things that he can 10x over 10 years, I think. And you could correct me if I quoted him incorrectly. And I think he believes that this is going to have a higher payout. And he's in an influential group. He's part of influential circles. His voice travels far and wide, and this is 100% going to affect values, and he's very aware of that. He's driving change as we speak.
Yeah, and I guess that's always like, we've seen that in other collectibles too, though, like video games and VHS. VHS, I think we always felt was kind of like not gonna probably take off, but video games definitely had like a big pop, and then you haven't really I don't hear much about them anymore, and so it's hard to know for sure what the market is going to be. Yeah, they still do, but they definitely aren't the center of attention that they were like 3 or 4 years ago.
No, the hype push isn't on them like it was when, WATA was first out and the auction houses were having all of this and all of that every week. It's not like that anymore. Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not like an expert in manga. I don't know if you guys have a sense of this, or maybe people in the chat can weigh in. But like, is there a collecting culture within the manga space? And I guess what I mean by that is, like, there's kind of a collecting culture like in the video game world, but it wasn't really on like the high end. And so like you can have people come in and be like, oh, I want like the sealed Super Mario game, and like pay crazy numbers for it. And you have a couple like whales that can like make that market happen. But like, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. It doesn't feel like there's like an entire manga collector fandom. And I wonder if that's going to be like a hindrance from this ever like becoming like a huge vertical within collecting. Like, obviously people will get excited about it. People will get interested in it. Where there's money, there's interest. But I just don't know if it has like the infrastructure to support it in that sense. But I don't know if you guys had thoughts on that. And I guess maybe relating it quickly back to the One Piece cards, like, could you actually see like One Piece fans hopping from that to manga? I kind of just feel like if you're a card person, you're a card person. You don't really transition, even if it's the same IP. I don't know. What do you guys think about those things?
I mean, I think if you're a One Piece fan, you're a One Piece fan. So it just kind of depends on how deep you want to go.
I guess my push to that is like, yes, the manga is the first appearance of like One Piece. That's like where the thing was created. But there's people that spend money on Spider-Man collectibles that don't have AF-15s because they just don't care about owning comics.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, that was actually something I was wondering about too. Like, I don't know what the collector base is like for that. And that's why that's kind of the area where I feel like it's similar to those other ones where they're almost trying to build that collector base. And I mean, I'm not like, I just watch anime. I don't read manga. And so like, even though like I'm a big fan of a lot of that stuff out there in terms of anime, I don't really have any interest in buying graded manga. And so that's why I don't necessarily say like, just because you're a fan of One Piece or whatever, that you're immediately going to go and buy the collectibles that are in that area. Like, you may just be a fan of the anime, and that's about it. So yeah, that's why I do think that it really, you have to see how it plays out. Now, it doesn't necessarily, if you've got the money, it sounds like he has a very expensive, extensive collection. Like this probably is a small percentage of his total collection's value. And he's more than willing to take that risk and say like, I'm buying these like top end pieces. And if 10, 20 years from now, they're 10 times, 20 times the value, great. I did really, really well. If they're worth about the same, it's not like a huge percentage of my portfolio and it's worth the risk. But if you're like thinking of dumping like all your money into it, that's a different story.
And I think, Ryan, what you just said is very important. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe Jeremy is on the record as saying that so far this year he has spent 1.25 million investing into collectibles. So this is, a fraction of that, and he plans to spend more throughout the year. And that's important perspective to have. This is an individual that is placing bets passionately and really enjoys what he does. And not everyone can do that, right? So you make a really valid point. For me, manga is so far out of my wheelhouse. I have no idea what's out there and or what it is or what year. Like I think some of those were from 1980s. I think some of them are modern. I don't know anything about it, so I do not have my finger on the pulse of what the collecting market is. But hey, Jeremy's a smart guy. But also, I think he's probably right more often than he's not. I really don't know that. I don't know the extent of his collection, but I know he's placing bets and he's probably prepared for whatever. But he's a smart guy. I have no idea.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see how it all shapes out. I mean, people in the kind of circles that I've been talking to have definitely been talking about manga for a long time. And maybe this is going to be that catalyst to kind of put it into the zeitgeist. Thanks for watching this clip from the Ungraded Truth podcast. To be able to watch the full show, click the link down below. Yep, that one right there.